Hi, I'm Dave. Welcome to Dave Takes It On. Today I'm going to be looking at the Nissan Ariya. One of my regular viewers, Phil, who lives locally, got in touch with me and he offered both himself for an interview and his car for review. So I very gladly took him up on his offer. I've not actually been in a Nissan Ariya before. We arranged to meet locally in a car park where I knew an EV charger was located. Because part of the review was to plug it in and see just how quickly it charges. Mine is almost 7 years old now, so it'd be an interesting comparison plugging them both into the same charger. As Phil arrived, the first thing that struck me, this looks to be a very large car, far larger than I expected. But as I got closer, took a closer look, it was just really the height that stood out. This is a tall car. In reality, the Ariya is almost identical to the Tesla Model Y in all dimensions. My Model S is a very big car. It is longer than normal and incredibly low slung. Also, whenever I take the Eurotunnel over to France, it's classed as a wide car. And I usually get shunted off into a separate carriage. Anyway, standing next to the Ariya, it is tall. And when you open the doors, they are huge. And they open really wide, giving really easy access to the cabin, and particularly to the back if you want to put in child seats. Coming from my Model S, I'm used to frameless doors, so the Ariya's doors stood out as being really solid and heavy, and that's a good thing. Well, 3 models are available, the Engage, the Advance and the Evolve, and they come with 2 battery sizes, 63 kilowatt hours and 87 kilowatt hours. Phil has the Advance model with the 63 kilowatt hour battery. Well, top of the range is the eForce, and that only comes with the 87 kilowatt hour battery. Well, Phil's combination gives a maximum charging speed of 130 kilowatts on rapid and ultra-rapid chargers. But as you move up the price range, you get more features. For example, you might get faster charging, ProPilot, dual zone heating and cooling, maybe ventilated seats or stereo system with 10 Bose speakers and LED headlights. Well, as far as the charging speed goes, the charger here is stated as being a 75 kilowatt charger, but on the app it's listed as a 50. Charger next to it that was added later, that does offer the full 75, and an Audi e-tron was plugged in at the time and he was getting the full 75 kilowatts. When we plugged in, Phil got an immediate 50 kilowatts that remained for the few minutes that we ran the charging session for. Connection and disconnection were both seamless. This was a really good charging experience. Now, as we weren't there to do a full charge, we immediately pulled away to allow others to use the chargers, and we parked up alongside each other. And there the size difference was immediately noticeable. The boot is a really good size on the Ariya. It has an underboot level with removable top covers, making it very flexible for storage. Underneath that was the cable collection and the 12-volt battery. Looking into the boot, folding the seats down, it's a manual affair, no electrics here, but it gave way to a really huge loading area. We didn't fold all the seats down because there was a child seat fitted in one side, so we couldn't. Now the fruit, or front boot, was disappointed as there isn't one. The space is jam-packed full of components, leaving no space at all for storage. Well, here you find your serviceable items, screen wash, coolant fluid and brake fluid. Well, inside the car, the appearance is fairly standard for EVs. A small display in front of the driver and a main central display. Turning the car on involves just pressing the start button and the display lights up, accompanied by a little jingle. The operation follows generally common procedures. In front of the driver is a speedometer and an energy meter. This shows up as blue when it's regenerating and white when it's using energy. The range is showing 80 miles at 41% state of charge, meaning about 220 miles actual real-world range. And Phil confirmed that indeed it is round about that figure. He generally doesn't go much further than 200 miles on a charge. Although he did stay after a couple of hours, he is more than ready for a break, and with the kids in it, it's more like an hour and a half. Few of us drive the full range of any EV without stopping to look after us and the occupants, and most of us just take the opportunity to charge the car when we do that. Well, the main display is Apple and Android compatible and automatically logs onto the last phone it was connected to, or the current phone if it's different. Well, Phil uses Apple Play almost exclusively, so the main screen with this Nissan proprietary operating system is rarely used. It has the obvious entertainment radio with DAB and manual physical knob on the front for on, off and volume. It's a nice little touch. Well, the onboard maps are fairly basic. You can search for chargers, but there appears to be no filter for selecting what power chargers to look for. There is a battery preheat, but it is a manual selection. Phil can activate cabin preheat from the supplied app, but there's no separate setting for preheat the battery remotely. It's possible this is included in the cabin preheat. It is on my Model S. There is no automatic preheat for you if you're heading to a charger, but it can be activated manually en route. Preheating your battery, even in the summer, will speed up your charging session by around 25%. So a 40-minute charge with a cold battery may take only around 30 minutes with preheating. While it does use a little power, that's more than offset by the dramatic time reduction of the charging session. Well, Phil was concerned at this point by stating that the app apparently only has 12 months of free use included with the car when you buy it, but when that expires, it seems there's going to be a monthly charge for you to continue using the remote control. Well, various Nissan Facebook groups are up in arms about this. Losing the preheat remotely feature and others like activating scheduled charging sessions at cheap rates will be more serious. And it seems strange because his Nissan Leaf is a 27 model and that key fob still works without any charge. Well, Nissan also offers a Wi-Fi package, chargeable of course, but as most people will use Apple or Android, using the phone's mobile data it makes little difference. But once in the car, Phil and probably most of the others will use Apple or Android, and their phones have, obviously, mobile data. Over-the-air updates are apparently on the way, but some have already been activated. The car had 2 recalls recently, relatively minor ones, but they needed an over-the-air update, which could only be done in the Nissan workshop. Now that seems strange to me. Over-the-air means it doesn't matter where the car is. In a garage implies there's some sort of manual intervention required, so not really an over-the-air. Anyway, both items were sorted out in an hour and 15 minutes. Phil was happy and all went smoothly. Now, as a bonus, many, if not all Nissan dealerships have on-site chargers available free to Nissan owners. Well, Phil recently took his family for a day out to Eureka near Halifax, right next door to the dealer. He rang ahead, the charger was reserved for him, and he parked and charged there free while he and his family enjoyed Eureka. If you go for a Nissan and you have a dealer near you, inquire about free charging. Also, if you haven't been to Eureka, you really should go. Years and years ago, I took Jonas and his brothers there when they were very young. Adaptive cruise control is standard, controlled by dials on the steering wheel, and it will stop the car in traffic. It does need you to restart it though when the traffic clears. That's not automatic. You can obviously set the distance to the car ahead. There is automatic lane keeping, but no auto lane change. Brake regen strength is selectable on the left-hand side of the steering wheel. On the central console is the button for the modes, economy, standard and sport. Also, there's the button, haptic of course, for e-pedal or one-pedal driving, where the vehicle would come to a complete stop. Well, on the Ariya, it doesn't actually stop completely. It'll get right the way down to just 1 mile an hour or so, but it just creeps forever. It never stops. But a really nice touch, when the wipers turn on, the display shows the status, on, fast, intermittent. Well, the system works, but Phil says it's a little oversensitive. That can be altered, but not entirely corrected. Phil does end up adjusting it more than he would like to. There's wireless phone charging, but the location is wide open. If you brake heavily, Phil says it becomes a launch pad and the phone flies out and onto the floor. Not exactly ideal. There's also a USB-A and USB-C type socket below the central console, and this model boasts 2 glove boxes and 2 useful cup holders. Heating is dual zone on Phil's model and comes with seat heaters. Higher models offer seat cooling. The screens front and rear are heated for rapid defrosting in the winter or rapid demisting if you all get in wet. and steering wheel heating is also standard. Well, a full interview with Phil will follow after Christmas, where he'll go on to explain why he bought it, how he's found it, his likes and his dislikes. But he still has his Nissan Leaf, and they often find if they're just nipping out the shops or taking the dog out, they prefer to take that one. But as a spoiler alert, Phil and family really like this car and highly recommend it for a family. Phil has since gone on, he's installed solar panels on the roof and a battery system for the house. And I'll be doing an interview with Phil and a look around that system to see how that works. But all in all, it means it's really cheap to run. Well, thanks for watching. I'm Dave. Well, thanks very much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please click the like button. And if you would, please subscribe. It makes such a difference to us as a new channel. If you click the bell icon, the notification, you'll be notified the next time we launch a video. And a massive, massive, massive thank you, last but not least, to our Patreon members. This side of the business is growing dramatically. We've had our most successful month ever, and thank you so much for your support for the channel. I'm Dave.